Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video on Gran Turismo 7. I'm back with one of the new daily races for this week. We are at Autopolis and we are in Group 4. A bit of a surprise there being in Group 4. We have tyre wear on ×5 and fuel on ×4. Now we're on racing medium tyres and we're going with a car that not many people are using for some very strange reason. I'm not sure why people are avoiding the Citroen, because the Citroen, in my personal opinion, is one of the best Group 4 cars when there's tyre wear involved with the race. So yeah, if you do appreciate this video, if it helps you out, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully we can help you out. We're going to show you the setup that we use in this race. We're also going to show you the lap that I did for time trial, which we did very quickly. It didn't take us long at all to achieve the lap time that we got. So yeah, let's start this race. We're going to first of all talk about strategy in this race. So we have 9 laps. You have to make a compulsory pit stop. Now, one thing you want to do is probably go with a car that's good on tyres to give you the option of not changing tyres. Now, I tried a race with the Supra and tried pitting on lap 1, and I can tell you, do not try that with that car. It is horrible on tyres. Now, the Citroen, on the other hand, is extremely good on tyres. This car, even when the tyres are wearing, drives extremely nice as we take a nice move up the inside and put ourselves up into P10. So yeah, the Citroen, not only is it very quick around the lap here, it's also incredibly good on the tyres. So I really recommend and urge everyone to give this a go, because it's going to gain you DR. If people continue to avoid using this Citroen, you're going to gain DR against other people, because this car is incredibly strong around this combination. So strategy wise, you pit when you want. You either change your tyres, pit lap 4 or 5 and change tyres, or you do what I'm going to do in the Citroen. You don't change your tyres and you pick a moment to pit. Now, I've tried different ways of doing this. We have ran going from the start and not changing tyres till the end. We've also done what pitting on lap 1 with the Citroen, and you know, it's just literally judging your race when you can see gaps, who you've got in front of you, if there's a situation where they're battling. Now at this point here, I can see a lot of battling going on, and I'm tempted at this point to go in for a pit stop. However, I know that Rage in front of us is in the Citroen, so I know that that car is going to be very good on tyres. So I know there's a possibility that he's going to pit here. So you're going to see, as we come around to this final sector here, we can see a few cars ahead of that I know 100% are going to have to stay out to lap 4 or 5, and then they'll pit. So you can see here, as we go into the final corner, Rage takes a wide line there. We're going to get into the slipstream. And now I was tempted to pit. I lined it up as if I was going to pit. You can see going to the left, but then I saw Rage going into that pit lane and decided to cancel that, because I thought there's a bit of a gap here. If I can just get up behind them, if they run a smooth lap, we might be able to get a little bit of an overcut on Rage, who's pitted there. So you can see, as we come into the hairpin, though, unfortunately for us, there's a little bit of battling going on and it's getting a little bit messy. You can see the Ferrari actually pushes the McGann off, and luckily for myself, I managed to get that move done without any sort of loss of time really there. But we are going to lose a little bit now. You can see Nano in the Evo behind the Ferrari, and these cars are all going to get tyre wear. So I know that they're not going to pit this lap. Now this is pretty good for me, because if I know that they can't pit on this next lap, because if they pit on lap 2, their tyres will not last. Even if they change them, they'll have real struggle getting to the end. So we know 100% that the cars in front of us, I think there's a Supra up there as well and another Supra, these are all cars that are going to need to go out to at least lap 4. So at this point, I'm pretty confident if I get in the pits here, this might work out. So always check out your cars that you're racing around to pick your strategy, because we know the Evo's not going to pit, we know the Ferrari's not going to pit, and we know the Supra's not going to pit there. So into the pits. Now on the pit entries, make sure you use these curbs. You can absolutely send it over the curbs. You can see on the exit as well, keep your foot planted, because it will go into the pits before you hit the wall. If you judge that right, you can gain half a second on the pit entry. And you can see as we come out of the pits here, we've actually managed to jump past Rage there in the other Citroen. So this is an almost perfect situation that's happened here, and that's the benefit of obviously doing that extra lap. Then we had a bit of a gap, we managed to catch them up, and we did a really good pit entrance, which has probably jumped us ahead of Rage. Now you can see by the time we get to lap 3, some other cars are deciding to pit there. They're obviously getting involved with some battling, and that's going to jump me further up now into P9. And we can see that Dino, right from the front, he was racing for the win and battling at the front, has come out of the pits. He's obviously been battling too much, decided to go for an early pit stop, and we've actually managed to get the jump over him really nicely there in the Citroen. Now he's in the McLaren, another car that is worth giving a go here, because the McLaren is very quick and it's also very good on tyres. It's not quite as good as the Citroen on tyres, so it is fractionally worse than the Citroen. It will fade towards the end of the race more than the Citroen, but if you want to try something different, give the McLaren a go also. I definitely recommend that car as a worthy alternative. Now, another alternative, the Megane Trophy, will be pretty solid here. Cayman as well might surprise you with this combo if you can get a decent setup on it and get up to speed with that car. But you can see at this point in the race here now, we're on our lap 4 and we're starting to get into a bit of a rhythm now. We can see we've got a nice gap to Dino. What we've got to ensure is that we keep that gap to Dino, and now it's just a case of seeing when we gain past people and get past people. And this is a massive benefit of pitting early, is that we've now got this nice clean track, and every time someone pits in front of us, we should be getting the jump over them that pit now, because we know for a fact if they're pitting lap 4 or 5, they're probably changing their tyres. That means they're going to be in the pits for longer than I was, and that's a couple of seconds that I'm going to gain over them. And you can see here again, we're now up to P5 from starting from P12, so looking pretty good at the moment. We still got Dino right behind us there, and again, just trying to make sure that we keep a nice smooth line through turn 1. It's a tricky corner to get right. You just have to get it right onto that curb and use some of the curb on the exit. Now, at the end of lap 5, this lap was a little bit scruffy. It wasn't a very good lap at all. You can see it, I think it was into the 53s. It was a pretty awful lap, this one, but we still managed to get the jump over another few cars that have gone in the pits there, and you can see this is actually looking pretty good. We've jumped a couple more cars and up into P4. So again, looking pretty damn good what's going on at the moment. Actually, looking at the gap to the leader at this point, as long as we keep it smooth, we should be on for a nice win in this race doing this strategy. Now, remember, you can run this the alternative way, and I think it's got just as much potential if you get it right, if other people pit in front of you. So, for example, if you're starting at the back and there's a few people that pit on lap 1, there is a potential just to keep staying out until they keep pitting and giving yourself clean air. We had a race like it earlier today, and it went like that. Everyone just kept pitting and just kept getting clean air, and that one can work as well. And then pitting on the end of lap 8, you can see this one's going really well. We're at the end of lap 8 now, starting our final lap, and we've got ourselves what looks like it's going to be into P1. P1's going to come out the pits in about 4 or 5 seconds here, so you can see there into P1, and we've got a nice gap to Dino. His tyres have started to fade off, and this is what I was talking about, the McLaren. The McLaren's tyre wear is just lacking ever so slightly versus the Citroen. So again, the Megane Trophy should be worth a shot here, but again, the tyres on the Megane Trophy I don't think are quite as good as the Citroen in my personal opinion. So yeah, this car is, in my opinion, the car that you need to give a go, and I'm going to show you the setup that I used for my races and also for the time trial now, so that you can try it. Now, I did a very baseline setup. This is not pushing the extremes. This is basically a setup that I think that most people should be able to drive and should feel pretty nice. You can see with the roll bar slightly high on the rear, not too aggressive though. I do think that if you really want to push it in time trial, you probably will want to go like 8-9 on that roll bar or something like that. Should give you a little bit more pace if you can really get the hang of it. Now you can see on the damper settings, we went 20-20, 25-25 and 45-45, not 50-50, just for a slightly softer feel to the car, and it does give you a bit better traction, I feel. With regards to frequency, what I found with some Group 4 cars is not to go all the way low with them. I found that this with our Brands Hatch with the Megane, it didn't feel quite nice enough, and again with this car, just a little bit off them. And again, initial torque setting, that's a really important setting on this as well, lowering it down to 5, and then that gives you the ability to slightly increase the acceleration sensitivity, and you can keep the traction out of the corners while giving very good rotation with getting on that throttle nice and early. I don't tend to change the braking sensitivity too much. I kept that default because sometimes that can upset the car, and maybe if we're going to go a little bit more in depth on this setup, I probably will have a little look at the braking sensitivity. But you just got to be careful, because when you alter that, sometimes when you get off the brakes and coasting into a corner, or like going left to right in a corner, it can unsettle the car if you like putting tiny bits of braking in. So yeah, just be careful with messing with that one too much. But yeah, I'm going to show you the lap that we did now after 2 attempts. We did first lap 51.6 with the Citroen, and this was our second lap with the Citroen running that setup. And you're going to see it's not a perfect lap, but it's not also a slow setup. It's a very stable setup, but also a pretty quick setup. Turn 1 straight away, I can see there that we probably lost, I don't know, maybe a 10th or 2 in that first corner there, pretty much losing quite a big chunk straight away from turn 1. However, this section reasonably well. You can see keeping it nice and tight to the apexes. Now, if you are looking for any sort of track guide, I do have track guides on the channel for Group 4 at Autopolis. If you want to know the braking points, stuff like that, the racing lines that we take, it's in a separate video, so check that out. It doesn't matter what car you're in Group 4 really. Most cars are going to run a similar racing line and braking references, whether they're on soft, medium or hard tyres. You might just need to adjust slightly if it's a hard tyre track guide, just brake a little bit later, fraction later, but not too much later. But you can really see with the setup that we're running, and as well the Citroen is a very good car on traction. You can really keep it down, plant it down, it rotates on throttle. And yeah, brake bias I've got +3 here. What I would say for the race as well is another thing, +5 for the race. It drives fine on. There's no issue with +5, so you should be able to give it a go on +5 for time trial. Whether it'll be quicker or not is, yeah, it could be, it might not be. I use +3 because +3 genuinely feels really nice with the Citroen in Group 4, so you might want to try +5 for a bit more rotation, but it might over rotate every now and then, just be cautious of that. But you can see again, running through this last sector, a little bit deep here, lost a bit of time there, had to kind of get a weird line into this final corner, so I think there was another 10th loss there. So yeah, definitely a lot of potential. You can definitely get a 50, I reckon it's possible to get into the 50s with this setup that I'm running. And I think with the Citroen, if you start pushing some of the settings a little bit more aggressive, you might be able to gain another 10th or so. So yeah, definitely for my personal opinion, I think the Citroen is a very good car for this week's daily race. I'd give it a go, try my setup out. It should be really drivable. It's not too aggressive. It should be drivable for the average person as well. So let me know in the comment section what you think about that setup, and also what you think about the Citroen, and I'll be back with more of these videos in the future. Thanks again for watching, everyone.